You can't remember being a baby. Nobody can. But here's what nobody tells you. Those forgotten years are the ones running your entire life right now. Every reaction you can't explain. Every fear that shows up out of nowhere. Every time you freeze in a meeting or shrink around a certain type of person or feel unsafe for no reason. That's not random. That's a memory you can't access, doing the talking for you. And the most disturbing part? You think it's just your personality. You think this is who you are. It isn't. It's who you became before you had words to describe what was happening to you. Let me explain something that's going to change how you see yourself. There's a phenomenon psychologists call infantile amnesia. It's the reason almost no adult can recall anything before age 3. For decades, scientists thought it was because babies didn't form memories at all. They were wrong. Research by Patricia Bauer and Marina Larkina at Emory University showed that babies form memories constantly. The memories just get stored in a part of the brain that doesn't speak the language of words. So when something happened to you at 18 months old, your brain recorded it. It just didn't file it where you could ever consciously find it again. But your body found it. Your nervous system found it. And it's been quietly using that file ever since. This is where it gets uncomfortable. Think about the last time you reacted to something at work way bigger than the situation deserved. Maybe your boss gave you mild feedback and your stomach dropped for 3 days. Maybe a coworker ignored your message and you felt rejected in a way that didn't match what actually happened. Maybe you walked into a room of executives and your body just shut down before anyone said a word. That wasn't the present. That was the past, leaking through the cracks. Psychologists call this implicit memory. It's the memory system that operates without your awareness. Daniel Siegel, a clinical professor at UCLA, has spent decades showing how implicit memories from infancy shape adult emotional reactions. You don't remember the original moment, but your body remembers exactly how it felt. And it reacts as if that moment is happening again. Right now, in your office, in your meeting, in your conversation. You think you're an anxious person. You're not. You're a person carrying old data your conscious mind never got to review. And here's where most people make a critical mistake. They blame themselves. They say things like, "Why am I like this? Why do I freeze when authority figures look at me? Why do I people please when I don't even like the person?" They think it's a flaw, a weakness, something they should be able to fix with willpower. But you can't logic your way out of a memory you can't access. That's the trap. Let me paint a scene. You're sitting in a one-on-one with your manager. He's giving you neutral feedback, just facts. But somewhere around the third sentence, your throat tightens. Your face gets warm. You start nodding too much. You agree to things you don't actually agree with. You walk out, sit in your car, and feel a wave of shame you can't explain. Here's what actually just happened. Your manager triggered an implicit memory of being small, powerless, and corrected by someone bigger than you. Maybe a parent, maybe a teacher, maybe something that happened before you were 2. You don't remember the event, but your body relived the feeling. Researcher Alan Shore at UCLA has shown that the right hemisphere of the brain, which develops first in infancy, stores emotional patterns that get triggered for the rest of our lives. Your manager isn't your father. But to your nervous system, in that moment, the difference doesn't matter. This is the hidden rule almost no one talks about. The people you can't stand at work, they're often not the problem. They're the trigger. They're activating a script that was written before you could read. And the people who seem to glide through office politics, who handle harsh bosses without flinching, who walk into hostile meetings calm and unbothered, they're not stronger than you. Their early implicit memories were just safer. They got a different starting file. That's not fair. I know. But this is where it gets useful. You've probably noticed something strange about yourself. There are certain people you instantly trust, even when you have no reason to. And certain people you instantly distrust, even when they've done nothing wrong. That's not intuition. That's pattern matching. Your brain is scanning faces, voices, and energy, comparing them to data you can't consciously see, and giving you a verdict in under a second. Studies in attachment psychology, especially the work of Mary Ainsworth and later researchers like Edward Tronick, show that the way we were responded to as infants creates internal working models. These models decide who feels safe and who feels dangerous, often for the rest of our lives. So when you walk into your office tomorrow and you immediately feel calm around one coworker and tense around another, you're not making a fresh judgment. You're consulting a database that was built before you had teeth. This is why some people thrive under demanding bosses and others crumble under the same boss. Same boss, same words, two completely different nervous systems responding to two completely different ghosts. But here's the part that actually changes things. You can't recover the memories, but you can recognize the patterns, and the moment you start recognizing the patterns, you start getting your life back. Here's how it actually works in real situations. The next time you have a disproportionate reaction at work, pause. Don't analyze the event. Analyze the feeling. Ask yourself a strange question. How old do I feel right now? Most people are shocked by the answer. They feel 6. They feel 4. They feel 2. They don't feel like a 34-year-old senior analyst. They feel like a child being scolded. That's not weakness. That's a clue. That's your implicit memory telling you exactly which file just got opened. Bessel van der Kolk, the psychiatrist who wrote The Body Keeps the Score, has shown that naming the age of the feeling is one of the fastest ways to bring the prefrontal cortex back online. When you can say, this is an old feeling, not a current threat, the panic loosens its grip. Second, watch your body before you watch your thoughts. Your thoughts will lie. Your body won't. If your shoulders rise before a certain coworker speaks, that's information. If your jaw clenches when a specific email arrives, that's information. Your body has been tracking patterns since before you had memory. Listen to it. Third, and this is the one nobody wants to hear, stop trying to win arguments with the people who trigger you. You're not arguing with them. You're arguing with someone from your past, using their face. You will never win that fight because the person you're actually mad at isn't in the room. They haven't been in the room for 30 years. And here's a warning. Most people never figure this out. They spend their entire careers reacting to ghosts. They quit jobs because of toxic bosses who were just regular bosses standing in front of an old wound. They sabotage promotions because the visibility feels unsafe in a way they can't explain. They marry the wrong people, fight the wrong battles, and shrink in the wrong rooms, all because the past is running the controls and they don't know it. You don't have to be one of them. Or maybe this has already happened to you. Maybe you've already lost a job, a relationship, or an opportunity to a feeling you couldn't explain. If so, you're not broken. You were just operating with information you couldn't see. There's one more thing you should know. The reason you can't remember being a baby isn't a bug. It's a feature. The brain hides those memories because they're too overwhelming to hold consciously. Imagine remembering, in vivid detail, every moment you were hungry and couldn't ask for food. Every moment you cried and no one came. Every moment a giant face loomed over you with an expression you couldn't read. You wouldn't function. So your brain made a deal. It would protect you from the memories, but it would keep the lessons. The lessons became your personality, your defaults. You're just the way I am. Except it isn't just the way you are. It's the way you became when you were too small to choose otherwise. And once you see that, you can finally start choosing. The people who understand this don't just live different lives. They move through the world differently. They don't take things personally that aren't personal. They don't fight ghosts. They don't confuse a manager with a parent, a coworker with a sibling, a partner with a memory. They get their adulthood back. Most people never do. So tonight, when the office is quiet and your phone is down, ask yourself one question. The reactions you've been calling your personality, the fears you've been calling your nature, the patterns you've been calling your fate. What if none of them were ever really yours? What if they were just instructions written by someone you can't remember, in a language you never learned to read? And what if the moment you stop obeying them is the moment your real life finally begins? Most people will never ask that question. They'll spend 40 more years thinking the past is behind them, while it quietly drives every decision they make. The forgetting isn't the problem. The forgetting that you forgot, that's the trap.